Hey guys, this is Suraj here from Amanra Siksha. I really hope you guys all liked my previous videos and you learned something out of it. So let's go to the next topic, which I've decided for today is how to create a baseline. The reason why I've decided this topic is in while producing music, especially house music, the first thing you would want to do is you would want to make the beat structure, which I've already thought it in my previous video. And I really hope some of you guys have learned how to make producing beats. The next thing what you want to do in the project which you have created the beats is creating a baseline. What is a baseline? A baseline is nothing but it's an instrument which has got your low and ultra low frequencies. It gives you that bass feeling in your track. That is technically what your baseline is. But before going to the baseline, it is really important for you to stick to a scale for each project. Say this project, let's stick to the scale C because scale C is very easy, and I will tell you why scale C, and I'll also explain you why C scale is really easy to use. Before that, let me go ahead and quickly make the beats, which I did it in the last session, which is nothing but house beats. The drum kit which I choose was 707. I'm gonna go to the 707, drag and drop it on my MIDI track. Also, another tip is please name all of your channels accordingly. How do you name your channels? Click on the channel, right click, and rename. I'm gonna rename this as drum kit, and this I'm gonna rename as my baseline. The moment you rename, the reason why you rename the channels is it becomes a lot easier for you to find where a particular channel is when you have say around like 30 tracks, 30 channels in the same project. Right now it's easy for you to tell that because I only have a drum kit and bass, but let's tell you have made a complete whole project which has got like 40 MIDI tracks or 50 MIDI tracks. It's always easy for you to go and see where is what. That is one key thing, saves a lot of time. So please name your MIDI tracks or your channels before starting with anything. I'm gonna drag and drop my 707 kit. I think I've already done it. Oh yeah, I've already done it. So now I'm gonna quickly jump in and create the beat. And let me add in hats as well so that it's a little groovy. I don't want to have a boring session. So let me also add in some hats. Make it a little groovy. Yeah. All I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna duplicate this now. Let me play this to y'all. Yeah, sounds perfect for me. This is what I did in my last video as well, just so that everyone stays in the same page. I do not want to make another complex beat so that you start wondering what is this beat. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep the same beat as I did in my last video, so that all you're worrying right now is how to create a bass line. Now you see this tab in my left hand side which says drums, instruments, audio effects. I'm just going to talk about drums and instruments today. The drum tab is nothing but that is where you're going to find all of your drum kit samples. XYZ. I have a number of them because I've downloaded most of the packs from Ableton live site, and a couple of them I've bought it. You might not find so many of them. You might find a little less numbered, but whatsoever, this is where you're going to find your drum samples in your drums tab. So in your instruments is where you will find things like bassline, your pads, your grand pianos, your guitars, your synth, all your virtually designed instruments, everything you're going to find it here. So this is where I'm also going to find my bassline. But right now, the moment I click my instruments and I go into each one of them, which is this analog, drum rack, electric, the moment I open, it's not just showing me bass, but it's also showing me a lot of things like mallets, piano keys, and synth keys, which I do not want. I want to save time. And how do I do that? Just click on instruments, go to your search bar over here or your tab over here and just put in bass. The moment you put in bass, you will see only bass popping up, or anything that is related or has the name of the bass. So it's easier for you to just go and find in whatever is required. Now I am gonna choose a sample. Okay, let's try this club amp bass. I don't know how it sounds, but let's just try. Now I'm gonna create a MIDI bar. The same process as how you did it for your beats. Create a MIDI clip first, or a 4-bar MIDI clip. I'm gonna highlight it for 4 bars. I'm gonna right click. I'm gonna insert MIDI clip. The shortcut is Command Shift and M. Now I'm gonna double click on this clip. The moment you double click, you get this piano roll. Now this is where you're gonna draw your notes. If you remember in the starting of the video, I said I'm gonna stick to my C scale. What is my C scale? My C scale is nothing but a scale which consists of multiple notes, which is nothing but my C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and C. If you see, technically it's all the white notes. I'm just zooming in so that you can see it much more better. It's all the white notes. That's why I say the C scale is much easier to work when it's in your major, because it just consists of your white notes. And the reason why you need to stay in a scale is your entire project should stay in a scale, because you do not want half of your track to be in one scale and the other half of your project to be in other scale. Because how it's going to sound is, the first half, which is C scale, might sound like a different project by itself, and the second half, which you're trying to change it to a B or D scale, might sound like in another project itself. So it's like you took the first half from one project and the other half from another project, and you just combined it. You do not want your track to sound like that. Instead, you want your track to sound the same. It technically should have the same theme, the same feeling, and whatever you're supposed to tell in your track, the way you feel, should be in a constant manner, and it shouldn't be changing from one point to another point. It just wouldn't sound right. So that is the whole, principle behind staying on the same scale. So now I'm gonna just produce it in C scale. Now all I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna randomly put in my notes on these white keys. I'm going to put it in D, which is my white note, and then I'm going to put it in E, which is again my white note, and then I'm going to put it in F, which is again my white note. Before playing, your baseline is your lower frequency, right? But when I play this, it doesn't sound like a bass line. It sounds like a lead. You do not get the lower frequency. That is because you're in C1 octave, which is a little higher octave. Higher the octave, higher the frequencies. Lower the octave, lower the frequencies. So what I want you to do is, I want to select everything, and I'm going to press shift, and I'm going to push it 1 octave down. You see that the moment I put it down, I just got that grit, crunchy bass line. And now what I want to do is, I want you to play it. See, I'm doing it in a most random way so that you guys understand what I do, but you can make it much more complex. You can put in bass lines in different scenarios, try changing the notes, maybe put this up here or get this down here, or things like that. You can always try, because there's no loss if you try to fail. There's literally no loss. So whatever you do is either good to you, or you just stay neutral. So I would recommend you all to try it in a different manner so that you come up with complex notations, good groovy bass lines and etc. This is very simple, and it might not sound that groovy because I want you all to understand, because I'm not doing any music production on trying to release the track, because I want this to be as simple as possible so that you guys understand what I do. So create a MIDI clip, double click on the clip, you get the piano roll, and then put in notes on the C scale. For now, let's go only with the C scale and not any other scale. C scale contains only the white keys, which is C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and C. So I'm only gonna put the notes in the white notes. And once I put, let's play. I'm gonna play it from the beginning so that you hear how it sounds. Decent enough, right? Because I only put it randomly and I kind of felt it sounded good. So I would say decent enough. Now this is one sort of how you draw the notes, like long notes. For example, if you see the C, it's super long. Now let's try breaking these notes into smaller. Let's see how that sounds. Just again making it like super random. Okay, sounds pretty decent. I'm just going to duplicate that now. See, as simple as that. All I did was I just tried cutting down the longer notes into small pieces and it gave you a little bit more groovy. Now imagine that you're trying to change the sample, try to change the sample of the bass itself. You're trying to do much more complex. You're trying to break down the notes into much smaller, or you're trying to, bring it even more longer. You could do so many things with it, and trust me, you just have to practice. The more you practice, the more you're gonna get it. And trust me, you don't have to practice for 4 hours to 5 hours, because it is not on how much of a time we invest, but what do we do in the invested time. Because that's always been my motto. It really never matters if you're just sitting around for 4 hours and doing nothing. But if you're just sitting for half an hour and doing what I actually showed you, and if you're trying to invent or implement things by your own, just for 30 minutes a day, that is more than enough. So I hope you really like this video. Give a thumbs up and also subscribe, and also please share the video to the ones who really want to learn music production, because I think this is all a tough time for us. Let's just forget everything by learning and by educating ourselves as well. Thank you so much. This is Suraj here again from Amunra Siksha. Thank you so much.